I'm JC. This is Nat. Together we've helped hundreds of foreigners get more life for less money by having a retirement in Thailand. Now we've set out on a new adventure with the help of Danoi, Kakao, and Gopher. Together, join us on our journey while we turn this into this and make a full forest and help make Thailand green again.
2 years later.
Welcome back. We have another YouTube video. We haven't done any for a while. We have some, what they say, in the can, right? We've shot, but we decided we were going to do a little Q&A because so many of you all reached out with comments and questions and stuff on YouTube, and so we thought we'd do this first. Our snake dog, you can probably hear the snake dog down here, and he wants some attention. So we'll go through a couple of these questions, okay, and see if we can answer some of them. This was from Ganasan. The cost of setting up a tiny solar house was the video we had done, they commented on. And they were asking about our pump. And can the pressure be regulated on the pump? Ours can't be adjusted. I bought a cheap pump. And so it'd be great if we could adjust it. I can adjust the diaphragm a little bit, the pressure inside the pump. But really we've talked about being able to make this more efficient because every time that pump kicks on and off to supply water for what? The kitchen?
The shed.
The bathroom, which is the shower, the sink, the toilet, it turns that pump on and off. And so it's using up our battery for our solar power. So what I've talked to Nat about is getting a cost. We have cement poles sitting in the yard that came from our uncle's house, right? And they're pretty tall. I think they're like 2 meters or something almost. They're pretty good size. And then we have a metal,
But they're big.
Yeah, they're heavy duty poles. They could actually hold up a house, right? And then we have the metal stand that the water tank sits on now. And what I'd like to do is put those poles in the ground on the little raised area where we want to build the house. So that's already up about 1/2 meter. And then put those poles in, and then put the metal stand that the water tank's sitting on now on top of that. And what that would do is allow us to have gravity-fed water. And so we turn on the pump anyway to fill that tank. What we do is turn the pump on, fill the tank, and then the rest of the time it would be gravity-fed, and we wouldn't be running off the battery. Yeah, and so we'd save a lot of electricity. He also said, does that tank have a mosquito problem? Do we get Jung in the tank?
No, we have the top to coat, yeah.
We have a top that's on that, so we don't have that. Do you have a mosquito problem staying here? How do you deal with it?
We don't have too much.
No.
Maybe a couple a day have some.
This time of year, because the rainy season has started, we don't have a lot of water sitting around for mosquitoes to breed in. Now we do have the pond. We have a little pond that we just dug out, and next to the chicken coop that we're raising some duckweed or growing some duckweed in to feed the chickens, right? But we in where we have the
little fish.
That's right. We have these little fish that are in with the dokbua, which we call lotus flowers. Thank you. Sometimes I forget the English, right? So we have lotus flowers in these containers, and the water sits in there, and we have the water sitting in this now. And so we have these little special fish that eat the mosquito larvae. And So that's how we avoid mosquito problems. And then we do have some natural mosquito coils.
And we have the lemongrass.
We have lemongrass growing around the kitchen where we sit and eat at night. And there's also citronella oil that you can put on that's natural. So that's really how we combat the mosquitoes, but they usually only come out. Nat and I, do we get up early enough in the morning to have a mosquito problem?
No.
No, we don't get up really early. So the mosquitoes in the morning aren't a problem.
And we come in the house early too.
Yeah, we usually encounter the mosquitoes at sunset. And so this time of year what we do is try and eat a little bit earlier so that we're sort of finished before the sun goes down and that we're inside. And if we're not and we're hanging out around the kitchen with the kids or something, then we light a mosquito coil, which I'm not a big fan of, but you can get these citronella ones that aren't so bad. So that's how we deal with that. Next question we had, the same person asked this question. What is your advice on the irrigation system now that you've tried it? Any brand or setup to advise, or do you have a YouTube on it? Our irrigation. That's something I'm definitely going to work on. Now we have rainy season, so it's not a critical issue. But I sort of put drip irrigation in, and it didn't work really well because you have to have one of these little drip nozzles for each tree. Now some trees are big, some are still small, so one wants a lot of water, one doesn't. So this has been an issue. What I would like to do, and I've seen this on other videos, is first of all have zones, and one of our great members gave us these, as a gift, gave us these Wi-Fi timers or valves that you can actually control and set up through a timer. But I'd like to have them set up in zones, but have these sprinklers going in between the rows of trees and stuff. And that way it'll cover everything. And so that's probably what's going to happen. And now that we're letting things grow and I'm doing some chop and drop, I've actually chopped up some of our irrigation because the grass has grown so high I don't even see the pipes underneath. And I start hacking at some of this stuff and it's like, oh, broke a pipe. Like I said, it's not an issue now because of the rainy season, but it will be. And so I can't offer any suggestions at this point. It's a difficult situation because we have so much land to cover, but I'm working on a solution, and hopefully by dry season next year we'll have sprinkler systems around here that'll be sprinkling in zones. That's the only thing I can say about that. This was from Sven. Remember Sven? We had dinner and stuff with Sven. We haven't seen Sven for a long time. Last I heard, he was going out during the whole pandemic and stuff. He and his wife were going to go out on a boat and go down the canals in Europe and stuff. Let us know how that worked out for you, Sven.
Sounds good tip.
Yeah. And come back. It'd be great to have, share some meals again. Sven said, listen to your mom. Because she was talking about the birds coming to eat our little fish, right? And he said there are birds that love the smaller farmed fish. So if you want to eat your fish and not give it away to the birds, put a net over the enclosure where the smaller fish are located. We thought about that. In fact, we went to do it and the net fell in every time. We couldn't fashion it in a way because this area where the fish are being bred is in the pond. And I need to throw the food in to feed them. And if we have a net over the top, I'd have to open the net, but it's out in the water. So this is a little bit of a challenge. So what we do?
Put the pak bung.
Put cover. We put morning glory in there so they have a way to get underneath. And you really don't see them, the fish. They stay under there until I come with the food. And then they come to the surface to eat it. Which is interesting because like yesterday or the day before, I said, nah, this is really weird. As soon as I walk up, you see them getting excited, and I don't walk heavy like a buffalo, right? Boom, 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 boom. I walk up carefully and stuff, but they still know somehow that I'm coming with the food, and you see them get all excited. But it's a good tip and something to think about. But not sure. Right now, it seems to be okay. In fact, we started out with the fish that were like the end of my finger, and now these things are good-sized fish. And how long has it been? A month? 2 months? Too much? We don't know.
Check that.
Yeah, we'd have to go look at the pictures or the videos where we put it in and see how long it's been. In fact, I told Nat put it on the calendar because I'd like to know as time goes on how big they get. But they're a lot bigger than they were when we bought them already. So that's cool.
Maybe too much food.
Yeah, maybe I'm feeding them too much, right? This was another suggestion, and it's a good suggestion. And this is from one of our viewers that's been around for a long time. He said, put your compost pile under the chicken coop, right? Number one, the manure, the key, will automatically be mixed as it drops into the, okay? Number two, adding the table scraps from our food and other organic matter will help feed the chickens, okay? Number three, the chickens will scratch the pile and grind it to smaller usable bits. In other words, they'll break it down into smaller pieces. Number four, the compost can be used quicker because it's going to break down quicker, right? Number five, the insects that come to it, the chicken like to eat. You know, so it's all really good. And we thought about that after I read this. The challenge that I see, and we'll try that, because we throw all our table scraps and compost and everything in the chicken coop already, and they scratch through it like you said. If I put it under the coop, my idea or my thoughts are going to be that they're going to kick it all back out from under the coop, because they like to dig through it, right? So Nat came up with the idea maybe make some small siding around that area under the coop to help hold it in. But yeah, it's something we're definitely going to think about and try and implement. That's a great idea, a great tip. And so we'll give it a try.
Be on the cement, okay?
Yeah, because it's just the compost sitting there. And so we'll see. We'll let you know how it goes. Yeah, it is cement, though. That is something to keep in mind. It is cement under there. This is from one of our last videos about the fish and the chickens and stuff. They said, I don't see any oxygen going into your pond. You need at least a solar fountain. We have a fountain nozzle. In fact, we did a video and I showed that in one of our videos where I bought this thing, we piped it in, and when I turned on the water to add it to the pond, it would come out this fountain. And in dry season, we would run it quite often, and so it would aerate the water. What happened to my fountain?
Already.
The pipe broke. So now when we add water, it comes out the pipe and it drops probably a couple feet. And so it's still aerating the water a little bit, but we've never had a problem losing fish. It appears that they get enough oxygen. Could be from the plants, the aquaculture that's in there that's giving them oxygen. I don't know.
And from the rain.
And now it's rainy season, so we don't add water, and the droplets of water coming from the rain are aerating it. Now come again dry season when we don't have the rain anymore, I've looked into having a solar pump with a fountain that'll come on in the morning and go off in the evening when the sun goes down. So it's a great idea, and it's something we really will implement. But we haven't had any problem yet with not enough oxygen, but it can be an issue for sure, and so something we'll be paying attention to. This comment was about our video in Vietnam. This was a while back. This was like 2 years ago before the pandemic. So yeah, this was when we were hanging out over at Vietnam. We were talking about it as an option for retirees. It's become less of an option since the pandemic. And so this business visa that I mentioned, it was real easy to get, and it was especially easy for Americans to go over and hang out in Vietnam long term. That's not available anymore. Since the pandemic, they've stopped that option. So we still have people that are over there, members that are over there and stuff. And what they're having to do is do these like visa runs. They have to go to an agent, and the agent, I think, takes their passport and goes to the border or goes to an immigration official. I'm not sure how they're doing it. And then they get to re-up. I think it's for an extra 30 days or 60 days or something, but they have to continue to do this, which is not optimal. And so if we had been living over there full time, we would have had this issue. And so we should have reached out to Phil, our member over there, and ask how he's handling this and getting to stay over there long term. Now, he might be married to a Vietnamese and might stay over due to that. I'm not sure. But it's a great question. And they said, can you point me to your video where you talk about getting the business visa so you don't have to worry about income requirements and all of that? Well, it's a non-issue now because it's not available. When it becomes available again, or when there's an option to make it easy to stay long-term in Vietnam, we'll pass that information on to you. And we'd like to get back over there. We have responsibilities here on the property. They're keeping us from going. But we do have things over there we need to go get, and we haven't forgot about those, that we need to get them. We just haven't had the opportunity, the time, or the resources, the extra money. A lot of money's going into this project to be able to go hang out over there. Because if I go over, I'd like to spend a little time. And so it'd have to be in a time that we can manage all that. And so that's the situation with that. So sorry I couldn't help you out more with that information. And the last question, and we'll pose this one to Nat. Okay, yeah. John said you should get a couple of piglets to raise your own. You know what a piglet is?
Like a pig?
Munoi. Now we've seen some, what do they call little pot-bellied pigs, the little guys. Those were sort of fun. They were cute, and they would be cool. Now, Nat and the kids in the family, they eat pork. I'm not a big pork eater. You know, I can eat bits and pieces of it, not a problem, but it's not high on my list of things that I eat. I don't know who would kill a pig. You know, her mom, we don't kill the chickens. Her mom will, you know, eat some of their chicken. Now, if you've never been to Thailand, you've never been around farms, everywhere you go, even in cities, you can hear the chickens over there, the roosters next door. They raise chickens all over the country. They're in the cities, they have chickens, right? Now, I've eaten or tried to eat some of these, like, free-range chickens. And when you're used to eating farm-raised chickens, the chemicals they put in and the drugs and everything have made them tasty and soft and all this stuff. It's hard to eat a farm-raised chicken, you know, a grain or a free-roaming chicken.
Don't eat a young one.
See, none of that sounds interesting to me, especially the part about killing the thing. And so, pigs. What do you think about pigs? Your parents had pigs for a while.
Yeah, but sell that.
They raised them to sell them, not to eat them.
No, not to eat.
Could your mom or your
pet for the Tanoi and Gao?
Yeah, and they were a pet because the kids were young then, right?
They like to pay with shower for them.
Give them a bath. Huh? So yeah, I mean, as far as being self-sufficient, I lean more towards dairy, poultry, and seafood. And what I mean by that, for Nat, she's probably not following along exactly, dairy is milk products like yogurt for protein, cheese, even though cheese is really expensive here, so we don't eat much of it. If we had goats, I would get goat milk and make some feta cheese or something like that, and we wouldn't have to kill the goats, right? But the goats, from what I understand, the goats eat everything, and so we'd have to keep them contained.
They eat the grass?
Yeah, they eat grass, but they eat it. But the problem is they eat it right down. The problem with goats is they eat it down to the dirt, and it doesn't. They don't just eat the tops of it. But anyway, the pig's idea. Well, back to my diet. It's like I like to eat the dairy products, eggs, like eggs, and seafood. And chicken, although if I could, I would lean further away from chicken if we have our fish raised, or if I could raise some crawdaddies, some crawfish, that would be good. But I'm not into like raising an animal to kill it, to eat it, if I don't have to. Now, if it was a survival, we would do that. You know, I'd probably do like the Native Americans, do a little prayer for the thing before I'd have to kill it and say, thanks for giving your life to allow us to have ours. But, you know, if we don't have to do that, I wouldn't do that. And so that's the situation, but maybe some of the munoi, the little pot-bellied pig running around.
No, I don't want to kill them.
We wouldn't kill it, they would be the pets.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't know. But it's a good question, John. Or a good comment about raising our own. But that's it. That's where we are now. The weekly updates we do for our members they get a lot more information. We repurpose it and pass it on in YouTube videos as well. And this week we're going to be talking about a few things because I went and got a biopsy for something on my back, and we just got the results today. And it's something to keep in mind.
Always an option.
Yeah, always an option. It's going to rain, so we're going to wrap this up. But it's a great idea to have insurance because you never know what's going to happen. And you want to be insured and covered for emergencies. My insurance policy with Pacific Cross, and I always put the link with our agent's a special email address to be able to jump all the queues and go straight to our agent and get your questions addressed to fit a plan with you, whatever your budget is. But I always put that information in the written descriptions so that you can at least check it out. Because for me, the insurance policy is exactly that. If anything happened where it would be catastrophic financially, I'm covered. Other than that, it just sits there. It doesn't, and I get a discount for not using it. And so that keeps it inexpensive. Plus, I have a $1,000 US deductible, and so I would only use it if it was something major. But we'll be updating probably in maybe the next YouTube video about this whole thing. We went and got the biopsy done and all this, the results and everything. That'll come up in another video. But until then, we'll be getting back to you fairly soon. We're trying to put up more shorts and stuff to keep things interested, and so you don't forget us here, Ma and Pa Kettle, you know. Somebody commented, he's never been a farmer a day in his life. Exactly. If I was a farmer and I knew how to do all this, it would be a different channel, right? Yeah, it would be like, okay, this is how much money we're making, and this is what... No, this is a challenge. And so this whole thing has been a challenge for somebody that thinks like we do, in that the way the world is going, it's a good idea to not rely on outside sources for what? Water? Electric, food. Food's the big one because every day we go out and buy food. It's our biggest expense, especially when you have two families. Yeah. You know, it's a big expense. So if we could go out every day and get our food that we need, and your mom can kill the pig
and stop the dog.
Yeah. We don't eat the dogs, by the way, even though they're noisy. They protect and keep. They're like the alarm system, right? Yeah. They're a lot of bark and not so much bite, but they're the alarm system. And so, but it's a good idea. And so we're just learning this as we go along. There's so many things that we started out doing and that we don't do anymore, or rethought it and changed it up. And so we talk about that and share it because I think anybody that can help supply their own needs with food, electric, water, transportation, there's a lot of options for transportation. We see these little electric bikes everywhere now. People here in Thailand are using these electric bikes. Problem is, you got to charge them from the grid. Yeah. You know, unless you have a solar panel, you're charging that thing, you're using the grid electricity anyway. And so it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If we actually were self-sufficient here and we had all the vegetables growing and things, and we weren't running to the market, I'd probably have a little electric truck or a little electric vehicle, and it would sit in the sun with solar panels and charge during the day, and we wouldn't have to go to the market that often because all our food would be here. Yeah. So that's, you know, ultimately a goal or a plan. And watch things grow. It's exciting. Like we're actually going out now. The other day we were eating. Nat disappeared from the table. Went and got morning glory to eat with the somtam, the pak boon, and some long beans.
Green bean.
The green beans, long beans that we ate with as a side thing with the
nam pik.
Yeah, we can eat it with the dip, nam pik, or with the somtam salad, the papaya salad. So it's working. We ate a noi na, the little custard apple thing, the other day, which was sweet. Yeah, we don't get that many of them yet. What else are we eating here? We got a lot of stuff.
Banana. Still have new banana.
Bananas are coming up. We're trying to do the vegetables is the hardest part for us. and we just haven't worked this out, got a system going yet, but we keep working at it. And whether we're going to do hydroponics or whatever, getting a lot of the beans, the cucumbers don't want to grow so well. We've got now some sprouts from the tomato seeds. We're going to plant those because it's hard to get real tomatoes here, nice size like beefsteak tomatoes and stuff. So I bought some like hybrid tomato or some from expat grocery store. And they're good tomatoes, and we took the seeds and they've actually sprouted, so we'll be seeing how that goes. But yeah, we're in mango. We had a mango or two. Yeah, so it's working. And we're happy now that we have the...
Wow, big lightning.
Yeah, we're happy now that we have the big lightning, which comes with the... rain. So before we get hit, we're going to say see ya. And thanks for watching.
And
you can actually hear the rain on the roof of the house. So we're going to call it we're going to put the end to this. But think about being part of our membership, part of our Southeast Asia expat group. See you. Mom, Pa, Kettle out. Have a good one. Hey, JC here. If you like that video, make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel here. Also, we have another video up here you're going to be really interested in watching as well. And if you're looking for all the details of how to retire in Thailand in one place, plus a group of people to support you, check this out over here. Give it a click.